I still remember the exact moment my own reflection betrayed me, when I leaned closer to the bathroom mirror and saw that gap between my teeth looking wider than ever, like it was laughing at me. And I wondered if my entire life had been ruined because of something I never chose. That day ended with me doing something I never thought I'd have the courage to do, something that shocked everyone around me and changed how I saw myself forever. Was I wrong for the way I handled it? Or would you have done the same thing if you'd lived my life in my body, with my smile? For as long as I can remember, my gap teeth were the first thing people noticed about me. Or at least that's how it felt inside my head. I'm a girl who grew up in a house where money was always tight, and appearances mattered more than feelings. My parents weren't cruel, but they were practical to a fault. If something didn't stop you from breathing or walking, it wasn't worth fixing. When I was little, I didn't even realize my teeth were different. I laughed loudly, smiled in every photo, and never once covered my mouth. But kids grow up and so does cruelty. By the time I hit middle school, the comments started, subtle at first, then sharper. Did you lose a tooth? Are you saving space for another one? You could whistle through that gap. They laughed, and I laughed too, pretending it didn't sting, because admitting it hurt felt like giving them power. At home, I asked my mom once if we could see a dentist about braces. She sighed the way she did when bills piled up on the kitchen table and said, "Your teeth are healthy. That's what matters." My dad added, half joking, "Some models have gaps like that. It's unique." I nodded, but uniqueness didn't feel like a gift when it made me the punchline. By high school, I mastered the closed-mouth smile. I practiced it in mirrors, in car windows, in the reflection of my phone screen. I learned how to laugh without showing my teeth, how to tilt my head just right in photos. People thought I was shy. The truth was I was hiding. Social media made everything worse. Every scroll was filled with perfect smiles, white and straight. Influencers preaching self-love while filtering themselves into impossible versions of humanity. Friends would tag me in group photos, and I'd untag myself before anyone could comment. One time, a boy I liked told me I was cute, then added, "You'd be really hot if not for your teeth." He said it like a joke, like constructive criticism. I laughed it off, went home, and cried so hard my chest hurt. That was the night I started believing that my gap wasn't just a feature, it was a flaw that defined my worth. College was supposed to be my fresh start. New city, new people, a chance to reinvent myself. I told myself I'd be confident, that I wouldn't care anymore. And for a while, I almost believed it. I joined clubs, made friends, even started dating a little. But the insecurity was always there, like background noise. On our third date, my then boyfriend recorded a short video of us laughing together. When he showed it to me, all I could see was my smile, frozen on the screen, the gap front and center. I asked him to delete it. He looked confused but did it. Later, he told me I worried too much about how I looked. I wanted to scream that he had no idea what it was like to feel ashamed of your own face. Things came to a head during my final year when I landed an internship interview at a company I dreamed of working for. I wore my best blazer, rehearsed my answers, and walked into that glass building feeling almost powerful. The interview went well, until the hiring manager smiled and said, "You have a great personality." Something in her tone made my stomach drop. Personality. Not presence, not confidence, not professionalism. When I left, I caught my reflection in the elevator mirror and thought, for the first time, that maybe my smile was costing me more than feelings. I didn't get the internship. They said they went with someone who was a better fit. I spiraled, convinced that my teeth were silently sabotaging me. I started researching obsessively. Orthodontists, cosmetic dentistry, before and after photos. I learned words like veneers and bonding, costs that made my chest tighten. I worked part-time, took extra shifts, saved every spare cent. When I told my parents I wanted to fix my teeth, they were shocked. My mom asked why I was so fixated on something so small. I snapped back, asking how she could call it small when it followed me everywhere. We argued, really argued, for the first time in years. I told them how ashamed I felt, how small comments had piled up into a mountain I couldn't climb. My dad went quiet. My mom cried. But in the end, they said they couldn't help financially. If I wanted it, I'd have to do it myself. So I did. I booked a consultation. Sitting in that dentist's chair, with bright lights overhead and a stranger measuring my mouth, I felt exposed in a way I never had before. The dentist was kind, professional, and honest. She said my gap was healthy, that plenty of people embraced it, but that if it affected my confidence, fixing it was valid. Hearing that almost broke me. Valid. Not shallow, not dramatic. Valid. I scheduled the procedure. Here's the part where things get messy, and where I need you to really listen. The day before my appointment, I went to a party thrown by some classmates. I almost didn't go, but I wanted one last night of pretending I was fine. At that party, a girl I barely knew, tipsy and loud, pointed at my smile during a group laugh and said, "I wish I was as confident as you, walking around with teeth like that." People laughed awkwardly. My face burned. Something inside me snapped. I looked at her and calmly said, "I'm getting them fixed tomorrow." The room went quiet. She looked embarrassed. For the first time, instead of shrinking, I felt powerful. So that's the situation I was in, years of shame, one decision, and a moment where I finally spoke up. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and really think about it. If something about your appearance made you feel small every single day, would you change it, or would you force yourself to accept it just because others told you to? Comment below what you would have done in my shoes. The procedure itself was quick, almost anticlimactic. I lay there, heart racing, while the dentist worked. When it was over, she handed me a mirror. I stared at my reflection, at a smile I'd never seen before. Straight, even unfamiliar. I didn't cry like I thought I would. I just felt quiet, like a constant buzzing in my head had finally stopped. The next few days were sore, but I couldn't stop smiling, really smiling at strangers, at myself, at nothing. The reactions were mixed. Some friends said I looked great. Others said they liked my old smile better, that it had character. One even joked that I'd sold out. That comment hurt more than I expected. It made me question myself all over again. Was I betraying who I was? Was I weak for changing? But then something unexpected happened. I went to another interview, for a smaller role, nothing fancy. I walked in, smiled without thinking, spoke with confidence I didn't have to fake. I got the job. Maybe it wasn't because of my teeth. Maybe it was. But for the first time, I didn't care. The biggest confrontation came at home. When my parents saw my new smile, my mom gasped. She said I looked beautiful, then immediately apologized for not understanding before. My dad hugged me longer than usual. He admitted he thought encouraging me to accept myself was the right thing, but he hadn't realized how much pain I'd been carrying. That conversation healed something deeper than my insecurity. Months passed and life settled. I posted photos without fear. I laughed loudly. I spoke up more. And here's the twist no one talks about. Fixing my teeth didn't magically fix my life. I still have bad days. I still doubt myself. But the difference is, my smile is no longer the enemy in my head. I stopped scanning rooms for reactions when I laughed. I stopped assuming rejection before it happened. Looking back, I don't regret my choice. But I also don't judge anyone who chooses differently. What I learned is that shame thrives in silence. It grows when people tell you your pain is small, or just cosmetic. For me, that gap was never just a gap. It was years of jokes, glances, and self-doubt piled into one space between my teeth. Closing it didn't erase my past, but it gave me permission to move forward without flinching. If there's any moral here, it's this. You are allowed to change things that hurt you, even if others don't understand. Self-love isn't always about acceptance. Sometimes it's about action. And no one else gets to decide which one you need. If you were on my side in this story, like this video. If you think I was wrong, tell me why in the comments, because I genuinely want to know. Subscribe for more real, messy stories like this, and share your final thoughts on this whole situation below. I'll see you all in the next story.